Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. Today guys, we're going to be taking another look at Cardano to talk about specifically what's been going on with ADA in the last few hours. Obviously after our update this morning, things dramatically changed structurally, so I want to give everyone a bit of an update as to what we are seeing inside the charts and what we might be expecting to happen next here for Cardano. As we get into this, if you find it useful and informative, hit the like button, I really do appreciate that. Subscribe, tap the bell, select all notifications if you are new to the channel. Right, with that said done, let's get into what's going on here with Cardano. This video is sponsored by Crypto.com, the world's fastest growing crypto app. With Crypto.com, you can buy that fear and sell your cryptocurrency. You can of course earn a juicy return on your investment and spend your cryptocurrency via their debit card. You can track all your transactions, and of course we cannot forget their new NFT platform. So why not check out Crypto.com? Link is down in the description below and you will get a $25 sign up bonus. So obviously we were talking about earlier in the day how we were up against resistance up the top here, testing this resistance zone, and we had this downward trend that had formed, okay, and there's another test just here. And then obviously we take a look at the bigger picture. We're finding good support on this upward trend. We obviously were testing some of the support and resistance lines on our journey as we were trying to trade sideways through this oversold area of our stochastic RSI. We actually saw a bit of a surge here in the middle, but not too much volume started to occur before we lost our support line of the $2.80. This $2.80 was a key area for us and something that we were looking to hold, as previously this was an area that we were holding very, very well and consolidating around. So losing this was a big deal. But going down lower, we actually lost our trend line entirely, and this trend line goes back quite some time, all the way over to the 20th of August. Okay, so this was a good strong trend line that has been broken, and this was courtesy of Bitcoin. And I do think that this has everything to do with the fact that Bitcoin and El Salvador's legal tender bill, basically I think there was a bit of a push to see everybody in the space buy $30 worth of Bitcoin ahead of the 7th, right? The 7th being today. The other plan was to basically buy $30 worth of Bitcoin on the 7th. As in true fashion as to what we saw happen with XRP has happened here with Bitcoin. What you saw was basically on the day that everything was supposed to moon, we actually saw the very opposite happen. This is something that happened with XRP on the 1st of February. 1st of February was the pump day. Everyone was supposed to buy XRP on the 1st of February. Instead, a few select individuals who were accumulating heavily beforehand had dumped on the market on the day that everything was supposed to go to the upside. So again, this is nothing unusual. We have seen it before, and I think this definitely had something to do with what was going on with Bitcoin. But because Bitcoin is leading the pack, when Bitcoin pulled back, everyone in the space got very, very scared, very fearful. As a result, many of these cryptocurrencies also all pulled back together. Now, I wouldn't be too pushed to think that a lot of those bots and algorithms out there that have been trading noticed these patterns in data, noticed what was going on with Bitcoin, decided to exit their positions much earlier. Again, then retail investors being locked out of trading accounts, exchanges, etc., finding it more difficult to actually liquidate their positions was also a common problem today. So in the case of Cardano actually taking this tumble, it has been quite unfortunate because we have lost this structure that was forming quite nicely up here and getting ready for a good push to the upside. But do I think that this is a long-term problem or just a short-term annoyance? I do think that this is a short-term problem with no kind of real issue really pushing further forward with where we're going. We can see that there was a good bounce area down here. We pushed up and we are still holding this area of $2.29 quite well, although we did actually drop all the way down to our $2 range. And again, that's a nice support area for us, as previously this is an area that we were consolidating around on before. So again, nothing too much to kind of complain about with that. Good buying opportunities have been found here with ADA. And I don't think there's going to be many of the people in the space that would argue that that wasn't an opportunity. Do I think that this is going to be a long-term problem? I do not. I think we're going to continue to see a pretty good surge to the upside in a gradual one, albeit, as we now have to take out these key areas once again. That being said, long term, I do think XRP, Bitcoin, and ADA are all going to do incredibly well. I do think we're going to see a good surge back to the upside. And again, these short-term problems, when we actually zoom out, are not so bad. When we actually take a look at the daily, it can look quite bad for Cardano here. If I actually grab my price range, we can, of course, grab hold of our range, and we can say that actually we have dropped 30% today. But on what we say on this channel quite frequently is 30% is a pretty standard day in the space of crypto. We see these kind of moves happen quite frequently, and we're pretty used to them. It's an unfortunate thing when I guess an industry that is very, very new, it's not that mature, has a lot of growth still to come into it. It doesn't take a lot of money to move a needle in one way or another, right? So it can be quite heavily manipulated with the right kind of institutions or bad actors in the space, right? So knowing this and knowing what kind of things we are used to seeing, we can obviously prepare ourselves quite nicely for the things that do lie ahead. So on this daily chart, we can obviously see that they've had a pullback of 30%, but what does that actually mean when we take a look at the space as a whole? We can actually call out several points during our big impulse wave to the upside here where we had very similar moves. So in the middle here, we can also see that there was a pullback of 35% just here. Again, when we take a look further down the line, a little bit further up here, we can see that over a 2-day period, we also dropped another 33% before continuing pushing back to the upside. So again, it feels like a bit of a shock right now, but it's not uncommon. We see this time and time again. This one looks also very, very similar, a 3-day stint where we dropped 30%. And again, this was all before we actually peaked out during that third wave to the upside. Okay, so these are buy the dip scenarios and opportunities if you choose to see them that way. We take a look at this daily stochastic RSI. That's definitely down here at 3. It's a very, very oversold with a huge potential to grow to the upside. Okay, so again, we take a look at where we were during this kind of fourth wave correction. This is exactly where we are right now in terms of where we are on the stochastic. Now we take a look at the pricing positions. We'll see very, very low down in the fourth wave. We're actually in a pretty decent position over here. So again, this pullback is actually quite beneficial in the long run because now we have that explosive gain back to happen again here in the next little while. So although it can be frustrating, we have obviously had structures completely destroyed, and now we have to kind of work our way back up. But in a nice steady way, we can go and start taking out some of these price targets that we have set out here for Cardano. So this particular move can be frustrating, but long term, it's actually quite beneficial to have these kind of 30% pullbacks. And like I say, we can see them quite a few times on this third impulse wave to the upside. When we jump up to our weekly view, this is where we start to actually take a look at the bigger structure of what is going on long term. And again, this is always really important to kind of focus in on because we can get drowned out by the detail of what is going on with our daily views or our hourly views. The weekly view shows us the best view, right? It shows us what is going on and why we are still structurally heading towards that fifth wave. And again, for us, technically, we've got the Fibonacci retracement tool at $7.22. And again, we have the extensions potentially going out, you know, our kind of psychological kind of barrier at $10. We could go potentially to $15, $20, or $25 for Cardano. There's no real barrier to that. Market capitalization definitely is not a barrier to that. All we have really as a barrier is supply and demand. And I do think demand is going to kick up nicely, as Chris mentioned earlier, in terms of transaction volume hitting the chain. And that's really where things are really going to heat up. You see something similar with Solana, for example. So again, lots of things to look forward to. Very frustrating, I know, in the space to see such unrealized gains wiped out of your portfolio. But again, guys, this is short term. Long term, everything is looking pretty much on track to continue as always. And again, it's important that we do not act emotionally. We act logically. I will do some member videos on how to protect some unrealized gains. If you do want to exit, there's an interesting opportunity that you have during these kind of pullbacks. So again, we will talk the members through those sections where you can protect a little bit of your gains if you want to. But again, for me, long term on this, the bull run for me doesn't end until the end of the year, beginning of next year. And as a result of that, we obviously have got a significant push to the upside, but we are expecting a couple or so corrections of 30%. And again, they are quite natural in this space. Nothing moves in straight lines. Guys, if you have found this a brief update on Cardano useful and informative, hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. If you are new, do subscribe, tap the bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything that we do here. With this said, done, and out of the way, I hope everyone has a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.